Hey guys, Ryan Dossey, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to pull commercial data lists. Things like self-storage, mobile home parks, apartment complexes. Basically, if you're looking for deals bigger than residential, this video is for you. Let's dive right in. This video came highly requested by one of you guys that subscribes to the YouTube channel. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be diving into my computer, showing you guys the inner workings of Reonomy. Reonomy? I think that's how you pronounce it. R-E-O-N-O-M-Y. Now, one thing to note with Reonomy is it is not cheap. If you're used to like PropStream or Deal Machine, that's going to cost you $100. You're going to want to raise those expectations. Commercial data is and has always just been more expensive because there's less people that are trying to buy it. Don't hold me to this, but Reonomy, last time I checked, runs right about $350 a month. And I do think they throw you on a 12-month contract for that first year. I've been a user for a long time. We have a whole training we shot for our folks in CCF about how we pulled 50 units out of less than 5,000 pieces of mail to this data. So I'm actively utilizing it to generate a profit inside of my own companies. I don't have an affiliate link or anything. This is literally just we use this tool, you guys asked, so here you go. Now, when it comes to commercial data, there really are three providers. There's Reonomy, there's Yardi or like Yardi Matrix Express, which I'll talk about in a second, and there's CoStar. I personally used to use Yardi Matrix Express when I went to reactivate an account, though. They actually wouldn't let me reactivate it because I'd talked about scraping websites online. And they're like, you're scraping our data. Nope, never have. So don't use Yardi. CoStar, on the other hand, tends to kind of be the gold standard for places like larger than 50 units. It's been a long time since I've looked into CoStar. Last time I checked, though, it was like $5,000 a year, and they sell it like per city, whereas Reonomy is just nationwide. So hopping into Reonomy, they've got data here on 53 million different properties, and it's a relatively straightforward kind of data pulling prospecting tool. Now, one thing that is interesting is you can search by address, location, like the market. You can also search by owner. So if you're curious, like if somebody you know owns something, that's an interesting feature. It's actually something I've wanted for a long time out of like PropStream and Deal Machine, to be able to search by an owner and have it just check and see what they actually have. So hopping into the tool here, we're going to kind of move left through right and through some of these options. One thing to note, PropStream, Deal Machine, all of those tools will let you pull like 10,000 records for $100. Reonomy only lets you pull 1,000 for $349. So that kind of sucks, right? Like they're not wanting you to go and rip massive lists out of here by any stretch of the imagination. So we start with property type, and they have all of these various different options. So commercial, industrial, down to like oil and gas wells, salvage yards, right? You can get super niche with this kind of stuff. Multifamily. So they do have duplexes, triplexes, and quads. Obviously, you don't need Reonomy for that data. Deal Machine, PropStream have that totally fine. But if you're looking for like mobile home parks or nursing homes, multifamily general, in my experience, tends to be larger places. Special purpose, I mean, they've got pretty much anything you can think of, right? From billiard halls to arcade to cemeteries. Chances are, if you're looking for something commercial, you can find it through here. I actually once helped a church do some marketing, looking for a new campus, marketing to other churches, seeing if they're looking to sell a building. They've got vacant land with different like designations, and then kind of their other, which is their catch-all. So you even have like easements that you can pull. So is there a like radio tower, for instance, kind of stuff. So very, very like interesting what you can pull. I mean, even down to like ranches and stockyards and orchards. If you're looking for something that's not residential, this kind of feels like the ticket. Going into building and lot, this is pretty straightforward. So you can pull by year built, size of the place, how many units. So in that multifamily general, I would definitely filter by the units, lot size. You can do if it's in an opportunity zone, which has potential tax benefits. When it comes to the owner, you can look at the number of properties in that portfolio or the value of it. One thing that's interesting, you can even look at occupant. So who's the tenant on the building, which is kind of interesting. When it comes into sales, I think this is super important on the commercial data. You definitely want to set probably a minimum and a maximum. I've had some folks be like, hey, can you pull a list for me of apartment complexes? And I'm like, some of these are over 100 mil. How deep are the pockets, right? What are we actually looking at here? They have this likelihood to sell, which based on their proprietary data, they think that within the next 2 years, that property is likely to trade hands. So whether or not that's accurate or good or not, I can't really give you feedback on because it's not something I've played with extensively. They have debt. So you can even look at who the lender is, when it was originated, when it's coming due. That could be a niche you could market to, right? Apartment complexes that need to sell or refinance within the next X amount of time. So this is interesting. CMBS watch list is there's potential problems going on with this. So they say everything from failed inspections to tenants leaving, to debt service coverage ratio falling below specific benchmarks. Effectively, they're nervous about this potential property. So that's interesting. You can obviously pull pre-foreclosures and auctions that are coming up. On the tax end, you can look at year-over-year changes and what they're paying in property taxes. All right, let me run a simple search for you. So I'm going to do St. Louis, Missouri. And MSA is I don't know what that stands for, but it's basically that general service area. Actually, I'm going to Google it. Metropolitan Statistical Area. I would have gotten that wrong. So now you and I are both a little bit wiser. So I'm going to throw that in. I'm going to go over to property type. I'm going to go over to commercial, and I'm going to pull the self-storage list. So as you can see, it's actually a relatively small list. We've had several people in CCF rip north of 6-figure deals off of some of this data. Guys, these are typically really small campaigns. So if you're in residential, it might not hurt you to spend, $100 to drop 84 letters to self-storage owners and see if you can land something. We've had folks land things on creative or owner finance. So it's not necessarily worth not shooting your shot with how cheap this is. So if we look at these 84, I'm just going to click apply. I could add in other filters if I want, but I want to kind of show you guys the data here. We are going to have to blur addresses and contact information. Same thing we have to do with all of our PropStream and Deal Machine videos, so we don't get tagged for doxing or anything. But you can see on here, they have information on the owner of the portfolio, how many they own, when they last bought, mailing information, as well as contact information. So this is giving us the chief executive officer for this particular entity with their email, as well as multiple other contact points. It actually says they have 28 contacts associated with this particular entity. So chances are, if I wanted to find one of these guys, this would be a really good tool to do that. They've also got just some interesting data on where their properties are located, what sort of asset classes. Kind of lets you be pretty nosy if you want. So going back to this list here, if I didn't want to cold call or email and I wanted to actually mail these folks, I'm going to go back to the property list here and I would simply click export, name it what I want to name it, and then click export. Now, remember, you only get 1,000 records a month. So for $349, I think those records are 34 cents a piece, which is 34 times more expensive than PropStream and Deal Machine. Now, why would you use Reonomy given that it's 34 times more expensive than PropStream and Deal Machine? Surely those two are good enough, right? Well, wrong. I was recently helping a buddy of mine pull a marketing list for a campaign, and both PropStream and Deal Machine said that there were no records for what he was looking for. I think it was mobile home parks, whereas Reonomy had 25. Well, no data versus 25 is a very different story. If you're watching this video and you're $349 a month, I can barely afford that, don't use it. There's no point in you going and signing up for a subscription on something that's going to make it where you can't market or can't buy stuff. This is really a recommendation. If you're already doing some flips, you own some rentals, And you're like, yeah, it's really easy for me to justify a $3,500 expense if I just get one deal a year. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch today's video. I actually read and respond to most of the comments on here, unless it's somebody just running their mouth. So when you guys ask questions like, hey, can we do a video on that? Oftentimes the answer is yes. So if there's ever any questions you have, don't hesitate to drop them on the videos below. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, my name is Ryan Dossey. We'll talk to you guys next time.